help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story. I still remember the exact moment I snapped. The sound of my sister's voice on the phone, that sickeningly cheerful tone she always used when she was about to dump another problem in my lap. "Jake, I have amazing news. Number 7 is on the way." She squealed like she'd just won the lottery, not like she was announcing yet another child she had no intention of raising herself. I stood there in my kitchen, surrounded by her 6 other kids who I'd been feeding, clothing, and practically raising for the past 8 years, and something inside me just broke. The cereal bowl slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. Her oldest, 9-year-old Emma, looked up at me with those worried eyes that had seen too much for her age, and I knew right then that I was done. Completely and utterly done. My name is Jake Morrison, and I'm 32 years old. I work as a high school chemistry teacher in a small town in Ohio, or at least I used to have time for my actual job before my sister turned me into an unpaid full-time nanny. I live in a modest 3-bedroom house that I bought with my savings 5 years ago, dreaming it would be a peaceful bachelor pad where I could grade papers in silence, and maybe, just maybe, have a normal dating life. Instead, it became a daycare center that never closes. My sister, Melissa, is 28 and has been on what I can only describe as a mission to populate the entire state by herself. 6 kids by 4 different fathers, none of whom stuck around longer than it took for the pregnancy test to show positive. And every single time, without fail, I became the default parent. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these stories matter. It started innocently enough 8 years ago when Melissa had her first baby, a little boy named Tyler. She was 20, scared and alone after the father vanished the second he heard the news. Our parents had passed away in a car accident when I was 21 and she was 17. So I was the only family she had left. Of course I helped. What kind of brother would I be if I didn't? I let her stay with me for a few weeks after the birth. Those weeks turned into months. The months turned into years. And somewhere along the way, helping out transformed into me being the primary caregiver, while Melissa came and went as she pleased. Tyler was followed by the twins, Sophia and Mason, when Melissa was 22. Different father, same story. He promised her the world, got her pregnant, and disappeared like smoke. Then came Emma when Melissa was 24, then little Aiden at 25, and finally baby Olivia just last year when she was 27. 6 kids, and I'd been there for every single midnight feeding, every diaper change, every parent-teacher conference, every scraped knee, and every nightmare. Melissa would show up whenever it was convenient for her, usually when she needed money or wanted to play mom for a few hours to post pictures on social media. The rest of the time, she was out at bars, dating new guys, living her best life while I sacrificed mine. I'd given up promotions at work because I couldn't attend after-school meetings. I'd ended 3 promising relationships because women don't exactly line up to date a guy whose house is full of kids that aren't his. My savings account, which I'd built up carefully over years of teaching, was nearly empty from feeding and clothing 6 growing children. I was drowning, and Melissa just kept throwing me more weight. That phone call about baby number 7 was my breaking point. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply said, "Congratulations, Melissa. I hope you figure it out this time," and hung up. Then I looked at those 6 kids scattered around my living room. Emma doing homework at the coffee table, the twins building a fort out of couch cushions, Tyler playing video games, Aiden coloring, baby Olivia napping in the playpen I'd bought with my own money. My heart broke because I loved these kids. God, I loved them so much, but I couldn't do this anymore. I spent that entire night making plans. I called my best friend, Marcus, who'd been telling me for years that I needed to put my foot down. I called a family lawyer to understand my rights and obligations. The answer was clear. These weren't legally my children. I had no custody agreement, and I had absolutely no obligation to continue this arrangement. Morally, that was murkier, but I was dying a slow death, and something had to change. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I called Melissa and told her she had 24 hours to pick up her kids, all of them, permanently. She laughed. She actually laughed and said, "Stop joking, Jake. You know I have that concert this weekend." I told her I wasn't joking. The laughter stopped. The yelling started. She called me every name in the book. Selfish, heartless, a terrible brother. I stood my ground. 24 hours. She showed up 18 hours later, but not to get the kids. She showed up with the police. I watched through my front window as she climbed out of her car, her belly just starting to show with number 7, pointing at my house and talking frantically to 2 officers. My stomach dropped. What had she told them? I opened the door before they could knock.
"Sir, we've received a report that you're holding 6 children against their mother's will," the older officer said, his hand resting on his belt. Behind them, Melissa wore this smug expression that made my blood boil. "Is that true?" I almost laughed at the absurdity. "Officer, I've been begging their mother to take responsibility for these kids for 8 years. I told her yesterday she needed to pick them up, and now she's claiming I'm holding them hostage?" Emma appeared behind me in the doorway, and I saw the officer's expression soften slightly. "These children have been living with you?" he asked. I nodded. "By your choice or hers?" I looked directly at Melissa. "You want to explain to these officers how you've been using me as free childcare for nearly a decade? How you've contributed maybe a few $100s total while I've spent tens of thousands raising your kids? How you're about to have a 7th child you can't afford?" Melissa's face went red. "He's trying to abandon my children! What kind of monster kicks out 6 innocent kids?" she shrieked. The younger officer looked uncomfortable. The older one asked if he could come inside and talk to the children. I agreed immediately because I had nothing to hide. Those kids knew the truth. What happened next was something Melissa clearly hadn't anticipated. Emma, bless her brave little heart, told the officers everything. How Aunt Melissa only visited sometimes, how Uncle Jake took them to school every day, made their lunches, helped with homework, tucked them in at night. Tyler showed them his room, pointing out all the furniture and decorations I'd bought him. The twins talked about how I'd taken them to their soccer games last season. Even little Aiden piped up about how I read him bedtime stories every night. The officers pulled me aside. "Sir, this is a civil matter, not a criminal one. These are her children legally, and if you want to stop providing care, that's between you two. But we need to make sure these kids are going to be safe." I assured them the kids would be safe because their mother was going to take them, right now. The older officer turned to Melissa. "Ma'am, do you have a residence where you can care for these children?" Melissa stammered. She'd been living with her latest boyfriend in his 1-bedroom apartment. There was no room for 6 kids. She tried to argue, but the officer cut her off. "Then I suggest you figure that out quickly, because this gentleman has no legal obligation to house them, and if you can't provide adequate care, we'll have to contact Child Protective Services." I watched the color drain from Melissa's face. CPS was her worst nightmare, because it would mean actually being held accountable. She turned on me with pure venom in her eyes. "You're really going to do this? You're going to throw your own nieces and nephews out on the street?" I met her gaze steadily. "I'm not throwing them anywhere, Melissa. I'm simply done being their parent when I'm not their parent. You are, so parent them." The officers left after making it clear that Melissa needed to collect her children within 24 hours or they'd have to get CPS involved for child abandonment. As soon as they were gone, Melissa unleashed on me. She screamed that I was ruining her life, that she'd make sure everyone knew what a terrible person I was, that I'd regret this. I just stood there and took it until she finally ran out of steam. Then I said quietly, "You have until tomorrow at noon. Whatever you can't carry, I'll donate or sell." She left in a fury, tires screeching down my quiet suburban street. The kids were confused and scared. Emma asked if they were really leaving. I sat them all down and explained as gently as I could that yes, they were going to live with their mom now, that I loved them very much, but that it was time for their mom to take care of them. I didn't tell them that their mom probably never changed a diaper in her life. I didn't tell them that I was terrified for what would happen to them. I just held them while some of them cried. That night, I barely slept. I kept checking my phone, half expecting Melissa to call and apologize, to promise she'd change, to beg for another chance. But she didn't. What she did instead was far worse. She went on social media. By morning, I had hundreds of messages. Melissa had posted a long, tearful video about how her heartless brother was kicking out 6 innocent children, including a baby, because he didn't want to be bothered anymore. She conveniently left out the part about 8 years of free childcare. She left out the tens of thousands of dollars. She left out every single time she dumped her responsibilities on me. The comments were vicious. People who didn't know me were calling me every horrible thing imaginable. My phone rang non-stop with relatives I barely knew lecturing me about family. My principal called, asking if everything was okay because parents were sending the video to the school board. I wanted to defend myself, to tell my side, but I knew it wouldn't matter. Melissa had painted herself as the victim, and people love a good victim story. So I did something different. I documented everything. Every receipt for clothes, food, school supplies, medical bills. Every text message where Melissa asked for money or said she couldn't take the kids because she had plans. Every missed birthday and holiday where I'd celebrated alone with the children while she posted pictures from parties. 8 years of evidence.
Hey, I need to take a quick breath here because this part still gets me emotional. If you're finding this story as crazy as I did live through it, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing but means everything to me. Plus, you'll want to hear how this revenge plays out. Trust me, it gets better. Melissa showed up at 11:57 a.m. the next day with her boyfriend's pickup truck. She wouldn't look at me, wouldn't speak to me. She just started loading kids and their belongings into the vehicle with jerky, angry movements. The truck wasn't big enough for everything, so I told her she could come back for the rest. She snapped that she wasn't coming back, that I could throw it all away for all she cared. Her boyfriend looked uncomfortable but stayed quiet. I helped get the kids settled, gave each one a hug, and slipped Emma my phone number written on a piece of paper. "If you ever need anything, you call me," I whispered. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. And then they were gone. My house was suddenly, shockingly quiet. I walked through the empty rooms, looking at the scattered toys they'd left behind, the crayon marks on the wall I'd been meaning to clean, the growth chart I'd marked on the doorframe. I'd thought I'd feel relief. Instead, I felt like someone had carved out my insides. I sat on the floor of what had been the twins' room and cried harder than I'd cried since my parents died. But I didn't have time to wallow, because Melissa wasn't done. Over the next week, she ramped up her social media campaign. She started a GoFundMe claiming she was a single mother abandoned by her family and needed help providing for her children. People donated. Thousands of dollars poured in from strangers who believed her sob story. She did interviews with local news stations, crying about how cruel I was. My face was plastered everywhere as the villain. I had parents at school giving me dirty looks. Someone keyed my car. I received death threats. And still, I waited. I compiled my evidence and I waited. Because I knew Melissa. I knew she couldn't sustain this. Raising 6 kids wasn't a social media post. It was relentless, exhausting, 24/7 work. She'd never lasted more than a few days at a time, and that was with me doing the hard parts. I gave it 2 weeks before she cracked. I was wrong. It took 10 days. Emma called me from a gas station bathroom, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Melissa had left them, all 6 kids alone in the apartment while she went out with friends. She'd been gone for 2 days. There was no food. Baby Olivia's diaper hadn't been changed in hours. Tyler had tried to take care of everyone, but he was only 9 years old and terrified. Emma had finally snuck out to use a phone. I told her to stay where she was and called 911. The police found all 6 kids exactly where Emma said they'd be, in a filthy apartment with no adult supervision. Melissa showed up while CPS was collecting the children, stumbling drunk and reeking of alcohol. She was arrested on the spot for child endangerment and neglect. The children were placed in emergency foster care, and suddenly the narrative changed. The news stations that had painted me as a villain were now asking my side of the story. The people who donated to Melissa's GoFundMe were demanding refunds. The death threats stopped. But I wasn't interested in public vindication. I was interested in those kids. I immediately filed for emergency custody, presenting the court with 8 years of documentation proving I'd been their primary caregiver, bank statements showing I'd financially supported them, testimonies from their teachers, their doctors, their friends' parents, all confirming I was the stable adult in their lives, character references from my colleagues and principal, medical records showing I'd taken them to every appointment, school records with my name listed as the emergency contact. Melissa tried to fight it from jail. She got a public defender who argued that I'd abandoned the children, that I was just as culpable. But the evidence was overwhelming. The judge looked at everything, listened to Emma testify about the years I'd cared for them versus the 10 days of neglect with Melissa, and made a decision. I was granted full custody of all 6 children. Melissa's parental rights were terminated. She was sentenced to 18 months in jail for child endangerment, and when she got out, she'd be on probation with no contact allowed with the kids. The day I brought them home, Emma hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. "I knew you'd come back for us," she whispered. Tyler, trying to be tough, mumbled a "Thanks, Uncle Jake." The twins chattered excitedly about being home. Even baby Olivia seemed to settle more peacefully in my arms than she had in days. Aiden just held my hand and wouldn't let go. This was my family. It had been all along. But I wasn't finished. Melissa had destroyed my reputation, cost me thousands in legal fees, and put those kids through trauma they'd carry for years. She'd used people's sympathy to scam them out of money. She'd lied to police and tried to weaponize the justice system against me, and she'd shown absolutely no remorse. So I made sure everyone knew the truth. I gave interviews showing the receipts. I posted the documentation online with the children's information redacted. I filed a civil suit against her for the money I'd spent over the years, knowing I'd probably never see a dime, but wanting the judgment on record. I contacted every person who donated to her GoFundMe and provided them with evidence to request refunds through the platform. The GoFundMe was shut down, and Melissa was investigated for fraud. Several donors joined together in a class action lawsuit. Her mugshot and the truth about her neglect spread just as widely as her lies had. Everywhere she tried to paint me as the villain, the truth caught up. Former friends stopped speaking to her. The relatives who'd lectured me sent awkward apologies. The boyfriend left her. She went from having thousands of online supporters to being a pariah. When she got out of jail, she tried to reach out through a friend, saying she wanted to apologize and see the kids. I had my lawyer send a cease and desist. She'd had 8 years and 7 chances to be a mother. She'd made her choices. Now she could live with the consequences. I heard through the grapevine that she eventually moved to a different state, trying to escape the reputation she'd built. I didn't care where she went, as long as it was far from us. Life wasn't easy after that. Raising 6 kids as a single guy is exactly as hard as it sounds. But I had help this time. The community that had condemned me rallied around us once they knew the truth. Parents from school organized meal trains. My colleagues helped with childcare. The kids started therapy to process everything they'd been through. I got therapy too, because I needed it. Slowly, we healed. We became an official family through adoption. I wouldn't say we lived happily ever after, because real life isn't a fairy tale. There were hard days and setbacks and moments I wanted to scream. But there were also soccer games and school plays and goodnight hugs. There were report cards I was proud of, and inside jokes and Sunday morning pancakes. There was love, real and messy and unconditional. 4 years later, I'm 36 now. Emma is 13 and wants to be a lawyer. Tyler is 11 and building robots in the garage. The twins are 8 and complete terrors on the soccer field. Aiden is 6 and reading at a 4th grade level. Olivia is 4 and insists on wearing a princess dress every single day. They call me Dad now, not Uncle Jake. We're a family, chaotic and loud and absolutely nothing like I'd planned for my life. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Well, maybe I'd change having a sister like Melissa, but you can't choose your blood relatives. You can, however, choose your real family. And I chose these 6 incredible kids who chose me right back. Melissa chose herself every single time, and in the end, she lost everything. That's the revenge that matters most. Not that I destroyed her reputation, but that she destroyed herself. I just made sure everyone could see it clearly. Sometimes the best revenge isn't what you do to someone, it's simply stopping them from doing it to you and letting their own actions speak for themselves. And those actions, they scream louder than any lie ever could. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. It means more than you know. Before you go, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories reach. And honestly, it reminds me that I'm not alone in the crazy experiences life throws at us. I've noticed we have an amazing community here, especially our viewers from the US, the Philippines, and Canada. And can I just say, shout out to everyone watching from New York. You guys show up every single time, and your comments always make my day. No matter where you are in the world, your support helps me keep sharing these stories that need to be heard. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Smash the like and share this with someone who needs to hear that sometimes standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. I'll see you in the next one.